allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'm calling the meeting to order. I did that already. Minutes to consider and act upon the minutes of the July 6th, 2020 meeting.
I'll make the motion.
I will second it. It's Nancy.
Thank you. Any questions or any comments about the minutes?
None.
Okay.
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
The motion passed. Thank you. Item number 4 is the resignation, this is for information only, of Park and Rec Commission Caitlin Schmidt. Caitlin's term was to end on the 2024, but she's moved out of town. So her resignation letter is in the backup. Item number 5, appointments. To hear and consider and act upon the following appointments: Land Acquisition Commission alternates. Kassandra F. Marshall of Judd Street is filling in a term from 11/18 to 11/22 to fill the vacancy for Walter Vickers, who has moved now to a full member. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
This is Nancy. I'll second it, Nancy.
Very good. Any comments or discussion?
Just to say I'm thrilled that Kassandra has stepped up in this way and is willing to serve. She will be a great asset to this commission, and I'm just really pleased. So.
Hello?
Tom?
Yeah, no, I didn't hear anybody.
Do you have any comments or questions?
No, I thank her for her service.
Very good. And Kassandra, are you on the line?
I know she's got 2 young kids, so.
Oh, okay. Okay, I didn't know. I just want to say that I've gotten to know Kassandra. She's become very active in the community regarding affordable housing and different issues, and I'm glad that she's stepping up to serve our community in this regard, and I think she'll be a very helpful addition to the Land Acquisition Commission.
Thank you. I'm just unmuted now. This is Kassandra Marshall.
Hi, Kassandra. Well, I just want to thank you very much for stepping up and your willingness to serve our community.
Great, thank you.
So, having no other comments, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Kassandra, and good luck.
Thank you.
The next appointment is Nicholas Mirabli of Sycamore Lane. This term will be from this term was from 11/16 to 11/20. It's to fill the vacancy for alternate James Pura, who resigned December 5th, 2017. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll second it.
Mr. Mirabli, are you on the line?
Yes, I am.
Oh, hello.
Hey, how are you?
Good. Well, obviously you and I go way back. We served on the RTM together many moons ago, and we saw a lot of action in this town back then, and we did a lot of good work. So I appreciate you stepping up to serve again and serve our community in this capacity.
Thank you, Brenda. I think you're doing a wonderful job, and I'm happy to volunteer and serve. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Nick. But,
thank you, Nick.
Yes, thank you. Hey, Tom.
Hey.
Any other comments?
Yeah, I'll just echo that. Thanks.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Nick, and I'm excited to have you serving. All in favor of this motion?
Aye.
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 The motion passes unanimously. Congratulations, Mr. Mirabli, and thank you so much for serving.
Thank you. Thanks, Ray.
Our next item is item number 6, and it is the Mill Hill School Building Committee to hear and consider and authorize the purchasing authority to enter into a wrap-up guaranteed maximum price GMP 2 with Gilbrin Building Company for bid packages 04A masonry, 06A millwork, 07A roofing, 08A glass and glazing allowance, 09A drywall and general trades, 09B flooring, set aside 09C painting, set aside 09D acoustical ceiling, set aside 11A kitchen equipment, 21A fire protection, 23A plumbing and HVAC for Mill Hill Elementary School, additions and improvement project per bid 2020-85 in the amount not to exceed $10,509,327. Funding for this contract is available in the Mill Hill Capital Project Fund 254. This amount, along with the previous amount approved on July 6th of $7,957,764, the total guaranteed maximum price will be the total project amount not to exceed $18,467,091. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I'll
Second?
it.
Thank you.
Yeah,
And we have Mr. Quinn, the Building Committee Chairman, Gerald Foley, Mark Schweitzer, a whole list, and Jason Lee, and a whole host of people on the line to present. So I will hand it over to, I believe, Mr. Quinn.
Okay, that's fine. I don't know if there's any questions, but on a total basis of total construction dollars, we are $95,000 favorable to the original bid package estimate. So on $18,500,000, we ended up being $95,000 favorable when all the bids came in. So we're quite pleased as to where we're standing going into the project, and hopefully once we get the Connecticut Deep agreement, so we can start turning a shovel in the ground, we'll go. So I'm willing to answer any and all questions that I may.
So Tom, it's Tom.
Yes.
Quickly, so the amount on this is within expectations, that's what you're saying, correct? It's within the budgeted
Absolutely,
amount?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay. And the contract has been approved and signed off by the town attorney, Mr. Baldwin?
Yes, that's correct.
Any concerning provisions in this contract? Are we in good shape here?
There were relating to COVID, but we negotiated some modifications. But other than that, we're in good shape.
Okay. Is there anything, Mr. Foley, was the RFP process followed and there's no issues on the RFP process?
Yeah, no issues.
And everything's in place regarding insurance and all those kind of things?
Yeah,
We're not gonna
so
have
we've
any
got
issues
the insurance and bonds in place for the action that was on the 6th, and after today's action, we'll get the full bond in for the full amount.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question for, sorry, Mr. Flynn, are you through?
Yes, go right ahead. Thank you.
My question is, I'm just more curious, what kind of considerations due to COVID, I don't know what that means. I mean, I understand what it means broadly. Just curious, what kinds of things that we now have to be looking for with these projects that would be relevant here?
Yeah, let me explain. I wasn't very clear about that. This is Attorney Jim Baldwin. They added language to the existing agreement, and the existing agreement covered force majeure items and means by which they can come back to the town due to unusual circumstances such as COVID, a pandemic, and seek a modification of the terms. But they tried to add to that and make it more robust in their favor, and I simply said that we should go back to the original language which was, in my opinion, more favorable to the town and more fair, and what was originally contemplated between the parties. So that was the essence of that discussion and that change in the agreement.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Okay. Is there any other question I can answer from anybody?
I just
Tom,
wanted to follow up on the environmental piece that Mr. Quinn mentioned earlier. I've had conversations with the commissioner of DEEP to try to get things moving in the regard to signing off. And I think I mentioned this at our last Board of Selectmen meeting, they sort of changed the rules in the middle of the game. So our environmental attorney, myself, and Mr. Bremer have been, and Mr. Carey have been working with them to try to get sign-off on some of these sites, most specifically Mill Hill, so that we could remediate and this work can start. So I apologize, this is not something we expected, and we've been following all the rules. It's just they changed them slightly after we had complied with them. So we're still working on it. So that's what I have for now, and when I have more information, I'll share it.
I appreciate that, and I'm fully aware of how the state changes their wording every so often.
Yeah.
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 And that was kind.
Being diplomatic, are you?
Yes, in my old age.
Ooh.
Okay.
But as soon as we can, Brenda, because it's a significance. We have a workaround. We spent Friday out there trying to look for different workarounds, and we're trying hard to do that. But we really need to have this cleared by August 3rd. So I appreciate all your work on that.
Yeah, we're really trying, Tom. They are moving very slow, and having them change the way that they had originally told us to proceed, obviously, has put a monkey wrench into it. So we are
Yes.
very much pressuring them to assist us in this issue.
Great. Anything that we can do, just let me know.
Okay, thank you.
I'd be happy to. Yes.
Does anyone else have any other questions?
I'm good.
Nancy?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
All
Well,
set.
okay. Seeing no further comments or questions, all in favor?
Aye.
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 The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Quinn. Item number 7, we are removing from the agenda. If Mr. Baldwin would like to speak to why we are.
Yes, this is Jim Baldwin. Very quickly, this contract is solely within the purview of the Board of Education. It does not involve the town's budget, unlike the other transportation that was reviewed and approved by this board, and for that reason, it's not coming before you. Okay.
So we're going to, do we need to vote to remove it, or can we just remove it, Jim?
No, you could just remove it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It's no action on it. It will die.
Thank you. And so the next item, number 8, I've spoken to the town attorney, and we're going to hold this item over for executive session.
I agree.
Okay. And our next item is item number 9. Purchasing authority. To hear, consider, and authorize the purchasing authority to contract with Wright Pierce as a continuation of existing engineering services. Wright Pierce shall develop the technical specifications that will be issued in a future public bid for additional sewer rehab work in multiple areas of the town. This contract shall be in the amount not to exceed $21,550. Funding for these additional services are available in the project budget account 130-130-10-54360. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
This is Nancy. I'll second it.
Questions, discussion?
I do have a question about the previous item that was moved to executive session. If I had a public question come in, should I save it for executive session and then respond afterwards if it's something that's appropriate to share publicly?
This is Attorney Baldwin. Yes, perfectly correct and good to do that once the board comes out of executive session to have additional discussion about the item.
Okay. So if that member of the public is listening, I just wanted to clarify. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there any questions or comments about item number 9?
Yes. Couple questions. First of all, this is in accordance with what was budgeted for this. Is this what we expected to pay in the grand scheme of this budget for this service? Does this put us over budget for this item at all?
This is Gerald Foley. Yeah, so this will be I believe it's the second or the third amendment to this particular group of services for this company, and this price is consistent with the prior ones. And to my understanding is this does not put us over budget in this particular line.
And this went through the appropriate RFP process as well?
Yes, it did.
Joe?
Yeah, so what we did is we anticipated with this particular service, because we're doing it kind of a piecemeal approach, we thought that it'd be our best interest to basically stay with the same company and do multiple basically rehabs throughout town. And then the thought would be is we'd go through an additional award and then up to 4 different amendments to the award. And then when we're going on to the 5th, we would revisit it to see if it's in the town's best interest to go to a 6th addenda or to go back out for additional proposals.
And that is kind of an acceptable practice to do
Yes.
it such as that,
Yes.
to go through this
Yes, it
amendment
is.
process?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Baldwin, do you have any issues with that? I'm assuming not. I'm assuming you reviewed the contract?
That is all correct.
Okay. And Wright Pierce, we've been happy with their work, I'm assuming, to date. Do we have some of their work completed?
This is
Yes.
Brian Carey. Yes, we're completely satisfied with the work they've done for the town.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen.
You're welcome.
I have no further questions.
Nancy, do you have anything?
I'm all set, but thank you.
Okay. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
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 And the motion passes unanimously. Thank you, gentlemen, for your being on the line.
You're welcome.
Item number 10, to consider and act upon tax refunds as recommended by the tax collector in the amount of $15,194.50. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Nancy?
Sorry, I was on mute. I'll second it. Thank you.
Any questions or comments?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Item passes unanimously. Item 11, to hear, consider, and act upon any business which shall come properly before this meeting. And I will provide a update, town update at this time, if that's okay.
Sure.
Currently, we have 669 COVID cases, and we have 143 deaths. I continue to send out weekly updates in the interest of transparency on what the town is doing and also to make sure our residents understand the decisions we are making and why. As both of you know, we have a very engaged citizenry, and I receive hundreds, literally hundreds of emails and calls every week. And I do my best to incorporate those questions in our newsletter and how we are addressing them. On Friday, we implemented new policies over the weekend to reduce capacity and restrict access at our beaches. We did this following modifications we've been making from the very beginning, trying to gauge how it would work, and last weekend was a complete and utter disaster. Our beaches literally were like something you would see on television from Florida. They were jam-packed. Residents could not, no one could safely socially distance with the amount of people who were there. And while we have been restricting parking access, people were literally parking all over the beach area, parking on Post Road, parking everywhere they could, and just streaming down and walking onto our beaches. So I called a planning meeting together. We spent a considerable amount of time with the emergency management team and our Park and Rec department trying to figure out how to make sure that our beaches are safe during this pandemic. And so we came up with a number of solutions. We added some temporary fencing. With our town beaches, they are very porous. The other towns don't have that. They have a single stream entrance. Ours are not the same. So we went out of our way. Police stepped up to assist us with areas we felt were the most important to have law enforcement. I had DPW print up some extra signs to add to the permit parking signs to alert people that the police commission changed the parking fines from $80 to $200, which I thought would deter people from parking in those locations. And we restricted to residents only on the weekend, and resumed non-residents Monday through Friday. And this weekend, I went out on a patrol with our law enforcement to check on all the access points, to speak to all of our officers and our Park and Rec crew, and it was like a completely different weekend. People were able to safely socially distance on the beaches. The garbage problems we've been having were eliminated. And the traffic and the amount of people who were streaming down our streets, it was actually becoming quite unsafe. It all went away. And so I think it went really well. There were a few kinks in the system regarding young people who didn't have an ID on them, and we're going to work on that this week, planning. But for the most part, we received literally hundreds of positive comments from our residents for the changes that we made. And so I was happy with that. The town of Fairfield, we sent out a letter on behalf of our residents who use Optimum to the CEO of Altice, the parent company, based on our survey results. I look forward to the response, especially as we see how many residents are working from home in need of reliable internet. I personally have had problems with them as well. Obviously, the town doesn't have the authority to, compel them to do anything, but I thought it was important that they hear that our town's concerns, and we were reached out to, as were our RTM members. So hopefully they'll take heed to our letter and they will respond in kind. In other news, the planning committee continues to meet weekly to address a litany of issues related to COVID. We will be meeting with the Board of Ed again to review their plans and the universities about their next steps that they're taking on campus, as well as the libraries and public meetings and events. I'd just like to know, I've received a number of calls regarding payment of property taxes. So anyone who failed to pay their April 1st property taxes by July 1st, which was the deferment on their real estate or sewer bills, received a lien notice. This is a normal practice, generally occurs in the month of May, but instead it was happening in July due to COVID and the tax deferment. An intent to lien notice is a required legal document that must be sent per state law 15 days before a lien is placed in order to warn the taxpayer and give them time to pay and avoid the lien. It does not mean a lien has been placed, and as long as an account is paid by July 31st, the lien will be avoided, if you get any questions. Further, we are unable to waive interest under any circumstance per state statute and executive order. And I say that because we've received many appeals from residents who didn't pay their April first taxes by July 1st. But there really is nothing our office can do about that because it is per state statute. The deferment program offers were eligible to taxpayers of a deferment of 90 days on any taxes from the time that it became due and payable. And that is it, and I will open it up to any questions.
Thank you. I just have a couple. Oh, thanks. Just a couple of points for clarification. Just some inbound email, and thank you for all you're doing. 2 questions, and this question was answered to me personally, so thank you to your office, Jackie Bertolone, for taking my calls on this. But just to say it out loud, for the weekends, if someone is visiting out of town but is with a resident and they drive on with a valid Fairfield pass, can you just talk about that shouldn't be a problem for the out-of-town resident, correct? If they are there with a...
Right. If you're if you're visiting your family member who's a Fairfield resident, you're not going to have a problem.
And is it only for family members or
friends or whomever?
Okay. And then the other thing, can you just expand on, some people have commented by email that they're afraid that you're not allowed to ban the use of the beaches for non-residents. So if you could just expand on why, in fact, you do have that authority to do that, that would be helpful.
So before we went into our planning meeting, I did follow back up with our town attorney, because from the very beginning, when I signed the declaration of emergency for the town back in March, the town attorney has been advising me about what my powers are under that declaration, and as well as under the state of emergency that the governor elicited during a global pandemic. So I checked with him, and he assured me, and he can speak to it as well, but he assured me that we can do that when it becomes a matter of public safety. And Attorney Baldwin, do you have anything you would like to add?
Well, I could get into the weeds with you on the intricacies of the law, but I think you summed it up in a nutshell, that I feel very good about the opinion that you're relying on. I'm happy to explain if you want more specifics. Other towns are doing this as well, Nancy. Westport's doing it. Other towns are doing it. Because, I mean, it's obviously we're in a national health crisis, and we're just getting flooded with out-of-state people. And unfortunately, the governor has reduced capacity to 25% at all the state beaches, which is making the situation worse. Sherwood Island literally is a huge beach, and it has a lot more room for people to safely socially distance. And what's happening there is that it's just getting completely crowded early on because they're only letting 25%. In addition to that, they're only charging out-of-state residents $15. So it fills right up. And so what I think is happening is people from New York and New Jersey are just going down the line and trying to get in wherever they can. And so because of our numerous access points, I think we became like the epicenter for everybody who couldn't get into, from other out of state. And so when our residents, are saying to me, and I went and viewed this myself, that it's an unsafe situation, I have to put public safety as the number one priority for our community.
Yeah, and I asked the question not with judgment, but more as a...
No, I understand.
So you had an opportunity to explain it out loud. I appreciate that.
No, I appreciate that. I appreciate it. And I asked the governor if he would expand the 25% to state parks, which would make it a lot easier on the rest of us in the shoreline areas in our state.
And then the only, if I could switch topics for a moment,
Sure.
The only other comment I want to make is, as we are well into this pandemic, and I think what will help, and I've heard you, Brenda, explain this to other elected leaders and for boards and commissions, as people have the ability to use WebEx and make those decisions for their boards and commissions. I think, because we could be in this for a while, I think that will help moving forward with people feeling your weekly updates are certainly incredibly helpful. and do keep people connected. So I think that will be important moving forward for people to feel, as we continue on, not being able to necessarily meet in person, if that's what remains happening. So I just wanted to say, know that that's something that the various boards and commissions are going to be thinking through a little bit as we move forward.
Well, from the beginning, as you know, Attorney Baldwin worked through all the executive orders that the governor sent regarding meetings and all of that, and worked with our IT director. And they each board had the opportunity to do, whatever they chose to do. So there was always option for public comment, but it's not required under the governor's order. And so some boards feel it's very important, like the planning and zoning, because of these are, big applications, and they're usually very well, attended typically by the public. And so each board and commission is choosing their own way. Our Board of Finance is not taking live public comment. They're doing it by email, as we are as Board of Selectmen. But that is open to any person's board, whoever is leading that board. It's really up to them how they want to proceed. So we're here to help, but it really is sort of the responsibility of each of those commissions and boards. But I welcome, and I also would welcome, on another topic, I welcome any suggestions for topics in any upcoming newsletters from each of you, if you'd like to send them.
Well, to that end, it's a good segue, because it's something that you've said repeatedly, and I think it deserves repeating again here, especially as various issues come up and things get heated. It's really, I want to echo that it's okay to disagree. There have often been times that this board has disagreed, and yet we've been able to walk away with civility and decency. And I've seen a little bit of a lack of that as of late, and I think it's just a good reminder that we're all neighbors and, in some instances, friends. And I think what makes the world go round is our ability to disagree, and there's probably a lot more that we have in common. And so I just want to echo the importance, especially in these times as this pandemic may drag on and tensions are high and people's own personal situations may get tricky. It's really important that we remember that tone of decency and civility and so on. So I thank you for that moment of personal privilege, but I'm just echoing something I've heard you say repeatedly, and I thought it bared repeating again here.
No, I appreciate that, Nancy, and obviously, this pandemic has impacted people, and everyone's, I think, on edge, and our lives have all changed dramatically, and so people are a little less maybe tolerant of other people. But I do stand by my statements on the night I was sworn in, that I will hope that we can work more bipartisanly, all of us together, because I think it's important, and that we're supposed to be Fairfielders first. And so I'm still pushing for that, and I'm hoping that we can all take a deep breath and understand that we're all human beings, and we make mistakes, and we're not perfect, and we're all in this together. And I keep saying that in my newsletters, we're all in this together. And so hopefully that message will shine through.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so this is Tom. I did want to follow up on a couple items that are top of mind.
Sure.
So the first one is, do we have an update on where we stand on the fiscal year 2020 financial results yet? The overage that we can anticipate that's going to be carried over to 2021?
I don't have that yet. We've been really working on so many things, and also this audit working group, and the deep stuff, trying to get this handled, because obviously I wanted to get these sites cleaned up before school starts, and it's been taking up a tremendous amount of time. But yeah, we can, if you want to send in an email exactly what you want from me, I'll have the finance department take a look at it.
Sure. The other one is, I would love to get that audit presentation maybe to us, maybe on a summary version, and find out where that working group stands, just so that I understand it a little bit better. Because I did read the report, and there were some areas, and let me be clear, it was under the past administration, and I'm not trying to cast aspersions one way or the other. I'm just saying these are long-standing issues within the financial controls that I think we need to make sure are addressed. So I'd like to get kind of an update on that as to, here's what the going forward plan is on that, if we could. Whoever's on that, Brenda, if it's Tom Bremer or whomever.
So just to say that we've only just started those the last couple of weeks, and
right.
The working group is, working, and there's a tremendous amount to go through, and we are cracking away at it, and we don't have an update yet because it's still so soon. Many items were already addressed early on in my administration before the audit even came out, just because some of these things were obvious to me and my administration. But once we have something to update, I'd be happy to do that.
Yeah, I think, and what I'm looking for, and by the way, yes, I know I know the administration has addressed certain things, and I also know it's early. What I would like to get is actually what their game plan is, what their, once they know, hey, here's how we're going to address, these are the priority items, this is how long I think it's going to take, they think it's going to take, that's what I would love to see on that, just to know where we're going.
Right. So, obviously the priority is to look through everything, and that's what we're doing, intensely dissecting each thing. So it does take a bit of time, obviously, to do all those things, and then place them in priorities, and then put costs associated with specific things. But we have a Board of Finance liaison who comes in once a month, Mary LeClaire has been appointed as chairperson of the Audit Committee. She's coming in once a month to get an update, which she will then share with the Board of Finance. And when I have updates, I'll share them as well.
Right. The other items is, I would like to hear that when we can. Just like I said, sooner the better. The other item that's concerning me a little bit as I think about this, and it's quite frankly, it's as I drove downtown the other day, parking. Now, the parking authority, totally separate entity, and I know the parking authority has gone forward with a bunch of projects, improvement projects, and had many projects on the docket relative to the train stations and the like. Now it's past June, and I think June was the dates where they would get kind of the 6-month renewal of the parking passes and things of that sort. I just don't want to fall down and taking a look at the parking authority and seeing where they stand from a financial standpoint, given what's going on in commuting in the town and the like. I don't want a nasty surprise there. So I don't know if we can ask somebody, there's a million things on the plate. Maybe there's somebody that's bird dogging this in the finance department or what have you. But I think it's important that we keep our eye on that. I am concerned that we could have some significant shortfalls there, and I don't know what that implication is. So
so you realize that they're a complete separate entity from us?
I do.
Their funding goes through us, but we don't. They're not part of us. So what is the concern exactly?
That I don't know what happens if they've greenlit projects assuming certain revenue line items and those revenues fall short, how those projects get paid for and whose responsibility is that.
My understanding is that whatever money they bring in, that funds their projects solely.
I agreed, but if that's absolutely agreed. But if their revenue's down an ungodly percentage, what does that do? And what they still come under, I think, the auspices of the town, although as a separate entity, I believe. So I just want to make sure that we know what's going on there. That's all.
All right. I'll have Mr. Bremer reach out to the parking authority, get some information, and send it to both you and Nancy.
Yeah, I just think we should be. Again, it's more an update item, Brenda. I don't know, but when I drove by there the other day, and I'm continuing to see the lack of cars. Obviously, I'm just wondering what the financial implications might be. That's all.
Okay.
And thank you for all the hard work on the beaches and all that this weekend. I'm glad to hear that it was a better and safer environment. It's not easy times, and I look forward to hearing what the school district also finally ends up doing for the school year. I'm getting a lot of questions from parents around town as to what their go-forward plans are going to be, or at least when there's going to be some more certainty around it. And it's not easy for them either. Boy, is it challenging.
Yeah, it definitely is. For sure.
Yep.
But thank you. Yes, it's been a challenge, and I think we've kind of hit a sweet spot with the beach issues, and we do have some things to adjust, but it was a much safer situation this weekend. So hopefully, moving forward, it'll continue to be like that.
Cool.
Is anybody, Nancy, do you have any other questions or anything?
I appreciate Tom bringing up those points. You know, I support what he was just asking, and
Sure.
look forward to those updates. Thank you.
Awesome. All right, so I'm going to go to item number 12, which means we will be moving to private executive session pending litigation.
And the fireworks, number 8.
Item number 8. Do I have a motion to go into private executive session?
So moved.
Nancy.
Started. Coming out of executive session, private executive session, and we're back into regular session. Could I get a motion to back into regular session?
I'll move.
Seconded.
To regular session.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And the board accepted the town attorney's recommendations. And Mr. Baldwin, are we supposed to speak more in detail about that, or?
No, Madam First Selectwoman, you should just confirm that no votes were taken, and now the time is to make a motion to proceed with respect to the matter of Diane Hart versus the town of Fairfield, to proceed in accordance with the recommendations of the attorney.
Okay, you just made it. Can I get a motion on that?
So moved.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Any discussion or additional comment? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The motion passes unanimously. And Attorney Baldwin, are we going to proceed with discussion on the other item?
I believe similarly, it's appropriate to make a motion to approve the contract as stated in item number 8, pursuant to the recommendations of the town attorney.
Can I get a motion?
So moved.
I'll second it.
Any additional discussion?
I think that this, if I may, Madam First Selectwoman, Jim Baldwin, I think it would be appropriate if there are any topics outside of those which were discussed at executive session pertaining to this item, now would be an appropriate time to address them.
Okay. Oh, Nancy, did you want to bring up the thing you had earlier?
just that it was a question about how that number was going to impact what was budgeted for next year, this year, and next year. So it was related to that line item for, and I don't know if that's an Anthony question or if it's appropriate to ask in this forum.
I wouldn't be able to. I mean, I think Anthony would be able to answer that.
All right. What I can do is put it in writing and then ask him the question on behalf of the constituent, and then address it perhaps in other business at the next Board of Selectmen.
Okay. Well, if there's no additional, or we have to vote on this. So all in favor on item number 8?
Wait, what are we voting on?
On the motion on item number 8?
Regarding the contract?
To approve the contract subject to the, pursuant to the recommendations of the town attorney, which would clearly be certain changes to the contract that's been proposed.
I guess since we don't, I'm just wondering if there is reason, given that the Director of Parks and Rec isn't on the line, is there a reason we couldn't delay this until the next meeting? Is there a timeliness to this? And I'm sorry I didn't bring that up earlier. I'm just thinking this through.
This is Jim Baldwin. I not to my knowledge, Gerald may be able to speak to that, but I'm not aware of any.
Yeah, hi, this is Gerald Foley. Anthony couldn't attend today's meeting. He had told us, I think it was on Friday, he just had a conflict. But concerning the timeliness of this, I'm not sure, but typically what happens is with all of these, the fireworks, these companies, typically it's right after, if they normally had an event, you book the next year's event immediately because they book that far out in advance. So that would be the only thing I could think of, but I don't want to speak on behalf of Anthony. That would be only because, in other words, say we didn't act on it, then in essence they would fill the spot, and so we wouldn't get a fireworks show for the 3rd. That would be, but again, I don't know if that could or couldn't happen, but that would be my only thing that I could think of off the top of my head.
I'm okay vote. Go ahead, Nance.
I was saying, I mean, I would just love if there really is no downside waiting, I couldn't foresee an issue with waiting 2 weeks for scheduling purposes. I'd love
Can I ask
Anthony
a quick question?
Yeah.
Nance, I understand what you're saying. Mr. Baldwin, do you know when these discussions that we alluded to or discussed in executive session, when you are going to have these discussions with the vendor?
When it would be immediate. I will try to anyway. Right. Have those. All
I'm trying to do is to give Nancy some comfort as well, because I understand where she's going. I would not be opposed to, if these discussions happen quickly and we need to hold a special meeting to just get this approved with just this one item on the agenda. I honestly believe assuming discussions go well, we can get this done in a half an hour, and I would not be opposed to doing a conference call for that.
This is Jim Baldwin again. With that being said, I would just pay close attention to what Mr. Foley said earlier about locking in dates, and while 2 weeks may not seem like a long time, I
should call a special meeting. Don't wait the 2 weeks.
Oh,
If you guys have conversations in the next 2 days, get this resolved, and want to talk about it and have us vote on it on Friday because you need the 24-hour notice period and can't do it for Thursday, I would be happy to jump on a half an hour phone call to do this on Friday if it gives Nancy comfort in voting for this once we've got the contract before us. I'm just speaking for myself, and I just lay that out there as an option.
And if
if
I may,
Yeah, go ahead, Ms. Whoever, sorry.
this is Jim. I'm just not sure what Anthony might add to the current situation.
Right.
In terms
And
of the
honestly,
cost,
I don't,
cost,
I just want to
the
jump
cost
in
of
and say
savings is
that
one thing, but sorry.
I'm not,
Go ahead.
my schedule is, I'm not going to be able to do that, Friday. I mean, the contract seems, and I understand, Nance, where you're coming from, but it seems like it's similar to, it's not changed in any way, and I know that they do have to do this way in advance. That's why you get the discount. Is there a specific question? I mean, maybe we can, that you think Anthony can answer?
I defer to the group here, and if there's something, I mean, I think that's fine. I think that's okay. I was bringing something up in terms of budget and what Anthony, but that's okay. I'm comfortable.
Okay.
But, again, yeah, it's okay.
Okay.
Tom Flynn, you're not feeling strongly. I guess if one or more of you was also feeling strongly, but you're not, so I'm fine deferring to the group.
As long as it's very clear that what we're doing is we're approving this subject to the appropriate resolution of the discussions that we had in private executive session, I'm fine.
That's fully understood by me, the attorney. Yes.
And I'm fine. So thank you for the consideration.
Awesome, thank you. So I can't remember if we had a motion or, did we have a motion? Let's do it again. Do we have a motion? I'm going to just read it. Item number 8, to hear, consider, and authorize the purchasing authority to make an addendum rider to the original fireworks by Grucci Incorporated agreement for the year 2021 Independence Day fireworks celebration event to be held July 3rd, 2021, in the amount not to exceed $52,250. Funding for this project is available in account 01007050-50200. Do I have a motion to approve?
Madam First Selectman, if you could just add to the very end, and in accordance with the recommendations of the town attorney.
Yeah, and in accordance with the recommendations from the town attorney. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I'll second it.
Are there any more questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion passes unanimously. All right. Well, if there's no other business, I motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second,
second it.
Nan? Okay.
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Aye. Nan?
Take care, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.